life is old. They're older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads.
Hey guys, it's been a long time since I've made an on the stand milking video, and it's because I don't have my milk goats anymore. But I feel like I still need to make these videos. I feel like God's really, I don't know, he's been telling me to stop trying to wrap it up in this perfect bow and just talk about the ways that he is showing up on our farm and in our life. And I can't ignore it anymore. So not really ignore it, but I can't make excuses, I guess, for trying to wrap up his glory in just like this perfect bow, this perfect message, type it out, and I just can't do it. It just doesn't feel authentic, and I feel like Spirit doesn't have space to be able to speak, I guess, if I do it that way. So our brand is called Triple G, and it stands for Goats for God's Glory. And I can't even, there's so many ways that God has just shown his glory on us with these goats and taught us more about who he is and taught us what constant prayer is. And he's done so much. I have not been great at showing his glory, telling you guys, who he is. If I'm not sharing a testimony of what he's done in my life, then I'm not glorifying him, and someone might hear it. So the other morning, God woke me up all bright and chipper, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just got up. And lately that has not been me. I've been terrible. I've been going to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I just wake up with my kids, and I keep saying I'm going to get up or asking God to get me up, and then he wakes me up, and then I don't get up. And I had my alarm set for 6, so he woke me up earlier, which is good. But that day, it was a quiet morning. I was able to have like my quiet time. Woke up, I got myself breakfast, I got myself coffee, all the things, and then after I ate, I turned on a sermon. It wasn't Joby Martin, but it was with the Church of 1122. If you go watch him on YouTube, it was one of the other pastors there. I can't remember his name, but I turned that on, listened to it while I was doing chores out here for the goats and watering flowers, and I just listened to it. Had my quiet time because everybody else was sleeping. It was really needed. Just listening to the sermon, and he spoke about the main part that I remember is he talked about the Lord's Prayer. And at the beginning, I literally just found that this morning. I just realized that. Funny how God works. I don't have it memorized. Maybe I should. I don't know. But the Lord's Prayer is, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Make sure my mic is still working. Sometimes it just shuts off on me, so hopefully it doesn't do that. So that was part of the message that he was preaching on in Matthew, and he was just going through what each part means. And the part where it says, your kingdom come, your will be done, really spoke to me that morning, and how sometimes we want things to go our way, and if it's not our way, then we're mad at God, or we think God is wrong, or there's lots of different things that you could go into with that. But it really spoke to me that morning of just like, your kingdom come, your will be done. Whatever you want for me, whatever you have planned for this life for me, whatever you want me to do, that's the prayer that was in the prayer. What is your purpose, your will? And so after I did chores in that sermon, I listened to the whole sermon. I sat down back at my table. Everybody was still asleep in my house, and I sat down with a prayer, and I said, basically, God, I don't want to ask you anything today. I just want to know what you want for me today. What do you want me to do today? Who do you want me to connect with today? Today, just specifically today. And just said that prayer and asked him to speak to me through his word, because it's just the best way. You know that it's him when you open the Bible. Yes, our own brains can skew what's being said. Well, that's the purpose of studying and reading it and knowing more. So I opened the Bible, and I just flipped open to Proverbs. Yeah, Proverbs 21 verse 3. I just flipped it open. first caught my eye, I started reading it. And it says, to do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. And for some reason, it was just like, oh, I feel like my brain almost buffered, but I wanted to know more about what this was saying. And you listen to sermons and they always bring up that Hebrew words, they have deeper meanings for each word. They can have several words for one thing, but a certain word means this and a certain word means this. One, I think love, agape, is like this whole form, just this all-consuming just love. And there's other words for love too, but Hebrew words, English doesn't capture it very well. So I went to my AI app and I just asked the app to just tell me what the Hebrew words were and what they meant. And I want to read them to you so you can understand too what I was reading, and you can understand it too, because I think it's really important. I have it on my husband's phone. He's sleeping. I had to text it to him so I could read it. So the verse is, to do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. But when you open up, you read it with the Hebrew words. Here's the breakdown. And I feel like it's very important to break this down for you to really understand what it's saying here and at the time why it was said this way. So I don't know Hebrew, so I'm going to botch these words. If we look at the 4 core words, it helps us to understand this verse better. So aso, to do. The English perception is a simple action of or checking a box. In Hebrew meaning, this is a dynamic verb meaning to fashion, manufacture, accomplish, or press into reality. It isn't just a passive obedience. It is an active, creative lifestyle of producing something in the world. It means taking the abstract and physically building it into your daily interactions. So, to do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. So, to do. And then here's the word tzedakah, righteousness. So to do what is right, righteousness. In the English, and Western culture, it creates ideas of being morally perfect, sinless, or even self-righteous and holier than thou. And in the Hebrew reality, it is actually a relational word, not an abstract legal status. It means a right relationship or covenant faithfulness. It's about fulfilling your obligations to the people around you, especially the vulnerable. In later Hebrew culture, tzedakah became the literal word for charity or mercy. So to do what is right and justice, mishpat. The English perception is punishment, courtrooms, or giving people what they legally deserve. And then in the Hebrew reality, mishpat does have judicial roots in the wisdom, literature, and prophets. It means restorative justice. It means stepping in to correct systemic wrongs, defending the weak, the widow, the orphan, the poor, and bringing society back into a state of fairness and balance. Shalom. The shift in what it really is in Hebrew, it isn't just about punishing the wrongdoer, it's about actively rescuing the wronged. Nivachar, more acceptable. The English perception is tolerable or slightly preferred. The Hebrew reality or word meaning, this is a form of the root word bachar, which means chosen, precious, or highly desired. God isn't saying doing right is tolerable. He's saying it is his deep primary choice. He is looking at the options and enthusiastically picking active love over hollow ceremony. And then, so if we bring the whole thing together with the Hebrew words in it, oh, never mind. The end of the verse contrasts all of this, which is zebach, which means animal sacrifice. And if you just read the Bible and you didn't understand the Hebrew background, you would just read this and say, to do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than just sacrifice. But here, zebach, which means animal sacrifice, in the ancient world, it was incredibly easy to use sacrifice as a transactional cheat code. A person could treat their neighbor terribly, cheat the poor, line their own pockets, and then show up at the temple with a costly animal sacrifice to wipe the slate clean with God. So Proverbs 21:3 directly changes this mindset by choosing tzedakah, relational fairness, mishpat, active defense of others, over zebach, the physical ritual. The author is arguing that God cares infinitely more about how you treat people on a Tuesday than what religious show you put on a Sunday. So if we wrapped it up all together with the Hebrew words, it's a lot deeper. And it would be more like this: actively building right relationships and establishing fair restorative justice is chosen and deeply desired by the Lord, far above empty religious rituals. And then it pulled up this video that I could go watch on YouTube about Proverbs 21:3, and it was such a good video. I'll link it in here in the comments. I just loved it because in it, he directly says, if your religion is number one, then the place that you go versus the person, which is Christ, you're going to miss the mark, because he wants a relationship with you. He wants your heart. He doesn't want religion or outward practices for others' eyes. He wants you. He just wants you. And it's so funny how things just come full circle when you sit and listen to God and you figure out how he talks to you, because he does talk to everybody in a very different way. It's personal. It's a personal way he speaks to you. But after I read that, I kind of got emotional. Spirit touched me because I had a church home and some things happened, and so we left that one and we we're trying to find another one, and not one that me and my husband are like, oh, this has what we want, but we want to go where God wants us to go. We're trying to find where God wants us to go, which I think we found it. It's just, I don't know. I've felt so guilty not being in a church building on Sundays. Sometimes, a lot of the time, I used to go every Sunday. See my dogs. Hey, I used to be at church every Sunday and serving and bringing people. I was just always there, always trying to do what God wanted me to do. And so not being there as much anymore, I've felt guilty. I feel like I've failed God in a way. I can't fail him. I fail him every day, and that's why we have Jesus. So when I read this, to do what is right and just is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. But people would just go take their sacrifice to the temples back then, and then they thought they were just all right with God. And then they would go and turn around and treat people terribly. Try not to get emotional. So when I read this, I feel like I felt seen by God. I'm not perfect at reading my Bible every day. I feel like I'm in prayer quite often, but he knows, and he knows what's in my heart. He knows that I'm trying. He knows that I'm still bringing him into my family. He knows that I'm loving on people and I'm serving people. If I'm really quite clear here, and I would tell you that God so clearly has told me and my husband with our goat business that our business plan isn't really, it's not a business plan. He told us to go serve, and that's what we've been doing. We've been serving, and his glory has shined so much in doing that. But I felt really guilty not being at church, not taking my kids to a church, not being there on Sundays and worshiping with other members, which I want to say this. Church is just a building. That's just a building. But if you and someone else is together and you guys are talking about the Lord, studying his word, that can be church. That can be enough. God wants a relationship with you. He doesn't want these outward checking the box that you went to church, these outward appearances of sacrifice. He wants your heart. And reading that, I feel like God just clearly spoke to me. He's like, I see you, and you're treating my people with love, and you're serving, and you're doing the things that show who I am, and that matters to me more, McKendry, than you being in a church building, which being at church is so good. Worshiping with other believers and fellowshipping and serving, learning and growing together in a church building, it's a good thing. I'm not saying church isn't bad, and I'm not saying you can just stay home and just be home, because I mean, iron sharpens iron, and you need to be around other believers. You just do. So I'm not saying don't go to church, but what I am saying is, like, God sees you where you are. He's not going to punish you because you're not in a building. He's not going to punish you because you're farming and you're doing things to steward what he's given you. Because I can't even express to you the ways that he has spoke to me and my husband since we have started these goats, and the ways I've grown because of talks in the background, because of being obedient. We were going to move and sell this house, and God so clearly was just like, nope, you're staying? And we were going to move because when I was at church, he told me move. And then I figured out he didn't mean move your house. He meant you need to start moving and doing the things that I'm telling you and putting on your heart to do, Mackenzie. And so when he clearly gave us the answer to stay at this house, and then not even that much longer afterwards, my daughter comes in with her Bible, because we were reading our Bibles to get an answer, get clarity. We have been doing it for a while, and then our daughter comes in and she flips open her Bible and she points at a verse, and it says 1,000 goats. And me and my husband just looked at each other and just, God has a funny sense of humor because we miss them so bad. And we had sold our previous ones because we thought we were supposed to move. Like, we sold everything because we thought we were supposed to move. And so we didn't move. And there's so many ways, there's so many things that I could probably go into more, and maybe I need to do another separate thing on, how we started our goats. But I know that there's families out there that they're stewarding their land and their cows, their goats, whatever it is. They're taking care of the things that God has given them, and they feel guilty because they're not in a church building. But I want to tell you that God sees you. He sees you. He knows your heart. And what matters so far more is that you are treating other people with love. You are taking care of other people, and you are serving. You're doing what is right and just. And you're not just doing it, but you're the to do. It's this whole movement. It's not just a day-to-day action. Like, you are actively trying to do what is right and just. And I try not to cry because I'm tired of crying. He's really he's always working in us, and Spirit's always strong. But this is for the person that feels like they're falling short because they don't meet in a building every Sunday. Or you feel like God's punishing you because you are watching church. You feel like God might be mad at you because you're moving cows on the mountain, or you're having some sort of farm something that's going on. He knows the end, like the beginning from the end. He knows what's going on and what will go on. And as long as your heart posture is serving him, glorifying him, loving the people that he loves too. He loves, spoiler, it's everybody. And you're serving, you're not falling short. He would rather you serve on a Sunday, help someone, than check off a box of going to church on Sunday. He loves you, and you're not failing. He's not punishing you. You are right where you're supposed to be. Just open up your heart, open the word, listen to what he is trying to tell you and speak to you, and glorify him when these things are hard, because I promise you there is some sort of blessing in it. There's some sort of testimony. There's some way that he is trying to do good works in you to help you to grow and to persevere and to have the hope. And you can't grow and become who he wants you to become if every time there's a hardship that comes up and you think it's a punishment. If every time there's a hardship come up and you think that because it's hard, it's not what you're supposed to be doing, when in reality, because it's hard, he's doing a good work in you, and he's growing you to pray, to talk to him, to have put all your faith in him. I mean, just 2 days ago, my husband and I bought a diesel truck to be able to pull. Oh, you can't see it. We have a big 4-horse trailer for our daughter showing goats and all that stuff, and our kids, and our truck just can't do it. And we bought this new truck 2 days ago, and we felt good about it. My husband drove it, low miles, like we felt good about it. Yesterday, he was driving to work, and it died on him on the road. Like he just shut off on the road. But by God's good graces, he had just enough to roll it into a shop that was right there. He didn't even know it was a shop. It was just where the truck was able to pull in off the highway. And it happened to be a mechanic shop. And the guy there, he said when he got out, everybody at the shop was watching him, Bodie said he tried to crank it and it just wouldn't start. It just died on him. And in that moment, I mean, he called me. First, I didn't know these details. I'm like, what's going on? It's like, what's going on? Like, we just got this truck. We just sold my husband's reliable truck, the one that doesn't have issues, to get this diesel that now is broke down. But by God's good graces, it went straight into a shop that when the guy came out to talk to my husband, he's like, I have that exact engine. I've had that exact problem. I know exactly what's going on, and we can get it fixed. Just knew the issues. And I could sit here and I could be really confused and irritated, but I know that there's a purpose in it, because the truck could have died here, it could have died anywhere else, and we would have had to get a trailer, try to figure out how to load it up onto a trailer to get it to a shop to fix it. But God let it die in a mechanic shop. I know that's backwards, and some of you might be like, why you got, like, I just know that God has a purpose in this. And we were listening to a sermon this morning after, I had to pick my husband up, take him to work, wake up 5 o'clock this morning, and go drive 45 minutes to go get him from work. So we listened to a sermon on the way home, and the sermon was talking about Abraham and Isaac, and how we have good things in our life, but we put them up as idols, and we glorify them, and we put our trust in them. And I feel like this was one of those teaching moments, both for me and my husband, because it's like when we got that truck, it was like, okay, like we trust that it's going to be good and we're going to be good. And, just, I don't really know how to explain it, but I feel like it was one of those moments where God was like, where are you placing your trust? I mean, he's so good. I'm not saying that he broke the truck down, but I feel like maybe the person that sold it to us wasn't quite honest enough. And maybe we didn't do due diligence enough, but God always uses things and hardships and stuff for us to grow closer to him, and to learn and to trust in him, and to grow in our faith and perseverance and all of those things. And this is one of those times where it's a faith building thing. I know things are going to be okay, because time and time again he has provided and he has come through, and we always have enough. And this kind of trailed off into something else, but God sees you, and he just wants your heart. You don't need to go check off boxes. You don't need to be exhausted in the worry of if you're doing enough for him. Sit down in his word, just be in his presence. When you're on the mountain moving cows, when you're sitting with the goats feeding them, when you're getting chickens' eggs, whatever you do, when you're at work, it can be anything. He's not mad at you. But check what you're doing during the week with the people that he loves. And is church just a sacrifice? I hope this helps somebody that feels like they're failing. I hope you know you're not. You're in a season of learning. That's all it is. Character development and faith growing. That's all it is. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps.